This was me walking into a Maid Cafe in Japan for the first time in my life. But honestly, it has been one of the most unique and surprising experiences that I had in Japan. Hi, I'm Trinh, I'm from Vietnam, and today I wanted to share with you 8 biggest surprises from my first trip to the land of the rising sun.
Where do we put our luggage, honey? We have a sink here. Why do we need this? What is this for? I'm not interested.
I see this as a lost cause.
The first biggest surprise that pops into my mind about Japan is the high-tech toilets.
This is the toilet in Japan.
They're very cool because they have many cool functions like this one.
It's warm here, very clean, and we have all the type of button right here. The one that I'm really impressed is privacy. Let's see. Creating noise.
At different places that we stayed, I even saw other features like a button that removes all the smell. I don't have a footage of that, but they do have some designs that I honestly didn't know how to use or what it was for, like this one.
This is the smart toilet and sink. What is this for? Huh? This one?
So wash your hands with this.
We have a sink here. Why do we need this? What is this for?
And the coolest part, these toilets are everywhere from the hotels to public areas, and at public restrooms, they even provide cotton pads with disinfectant liquid so you can just clean the toilet seat before using it. Very impressive. The next biggest surprise for me in Japan was eating raw egg on rice with soy sauce. When I first saw this dish during our breakfast at the hotel in Osaka, I was like, what is this dish? So I gave it a try. At first, I felt a bit unsure because I had never eaten raw egg like this before. However, the yolk tasted pretty nice, but the egg white felt interesting or strange. Not because the food was weird, but because I did it wrong, obviously. However, if you're ever in Japan, you might want to try this dish because it's kind of a unique cultural experience and it's totally safe. In Japan, chickens are vaccinated and well cared for, so eating raw egg is completely normal there. Number 6. Japan is the first country that truly and surprisingly has fascinated me with this. Most streets are clean, and I barely see trash on the streets, but where are the trash bins? Or actually, why are there so few of them? I saw there were trash bins in Japan, but we can't just throw trash in any bin, you know? Since there are rules that we need to follow, there was one time that I had to carry my trash from one place to another, and it took us about an hour and a half just to finally throw it away. At first, it was a bit challenging, especially when we were traveling around, but gradually we got used to it, and if you think more about it, it makes sense, right? Good for the environment and it's good for us. I have a question. What's the secret to be so patient when waiting in line in Japan? We went to a sushi restaurant in Osaka and I was so hungry. I felt like I might faint, but my friend said, let's wait because it will be worth it. So we waited. 10 minutes passed, then 30. Still no table. And there was something very interesting happening. We had an earlier number, but other people got their tables first. Later on, I learned that it's not just about the number in Japan. If your group size fits the table better, you might get seated first, even if you came later. And after 1 hour, we finally got our table, and honestly, I was almost fainted. But the food was really good, and what surprised me even more, even after we finished eating, like about, an hour later or 45 minutes later, many people were still waiting outside, and I really admire their patience. Do you think that Japanese trains are always on time? I thought so too, but in our case, the train got cancelled, and we had no idea until we arrived at the station. From Kyoto to Kanazawa, we needed to take 2 trains, right? The first one was the Thunderbird and then the Shinkansen. But when we got to the Kyoto station, we found out the Thunderbird was cancelled. That meant we were going to miss our next train. I started to panic. Oh no, do we have to buy new tickets? So kids ran to the station staff and asked for help. They were so kind and helpful. They explained everything clearly, and one of them even walked us to the right platform when we were switching from the Thunderbird to the Shinkansen. And they said, just take the next train without any extra charge. Later on, when we were on the Shinkansen, a staff member came to check on us, and she even apologized for what happened earlier. That moment really stayed in my heart. What started as a stressful situation turned into something very warm and special. This was the first hotel ever where we have to ask,
Where do we put our luggage? Where?
it was in Tokyo, Japan. Yes, under the bed.
Under here.
I'm not sure if all the hotels in Tokyo are like this because we only stayed in the city for 4 days. To be fair, other hotels that we stayed in across Japan were pretty spacious, but it was only in Tokyo that we felt the space was a bit tight for the price.
100 something US dollars will get you in Tokyo.
Even though the room was small, it had all the cool stuff like a good toilet, big TV, chargers, comfy bed, and everything that we needed.
At least we're getting some fresh air. Hi guys, behind us, look, so many deer.
And they were my second biggest surprise in Japan, the free roaming deer in Nara. I think they might be the most polite deer in the world.
Why?
Because they actually bow for snacks. You can buy special crackers from these little stands nearby, and when they see you, they bow their heads before taking it. But they could also be a little bit cheeky.
It looks like a gang. Ready to shoot you down.
They might come up to you, nudge you, or even follow you if they think you have food.
Not interested. Not interested.
I see this as a lost cause.
See, these was something about it. Don't want to.
Let's see if there's someone else more interesting.
At the beginning of this video, I briefly mentioned the biggest surprise in Japan, my first time at a Maid Café. Now let's continue the story. So the Japanese Maid Café was nothing like I imagined. When I first heard the word Maid Café, I quickly kind of thought of something else. However, let's see what they actually had to offer.
Welcome home, my master and my princess. All of our maids here at my house maid are working hard every day and hoping to be the #1 loved dog. And Café is Akihabara. Menu is this set menu.
Yes.
My host set is drink and food and fried hot dog. Dessert set is drink and sweets and fried hot dog. Drink set, drink and fried hot dog.
So we picked a combo that came with a sweet dessert and a photo with one of the maids. While my extrovert side was totally on vacation that evening, there were 2 other Japanese customers in the cafe nearby. They looked very comfortable, especially the woman in a business suit. She was chatting with her maid, laughing and having a good time, and I want to have a good time too. And even exchanging photos. And that made me wonder, are maid cafes also a place where locals come to relax and have fun? What do you think? Would you visit a maid cafe in Japan? And what surprised you the most about Japan? I look forward to seeing you in the comments and in the next videos. Thanks for watching. Cheers!